Why your cat sits like a loaf and what it's really telling you. You've seen it 100 times. Your cat sitting completely still, paws tucked underneath them, eyes half closed, perfectly square, looking for all the world like a small, warm loaf of bread that has decided it lives on your sofa now. And you probably took a photo and got on with your day. But here's the thing nobody tells you. The loaf isn't just a position, it's a message. And depending on how your cat is doing it, the exact shape of it, where they are, whether their eyes are open or closed, whether the tail is tucked or wrapped, it's telling you something specific. Once you know how to read it, you'll never look at your cat the same way again. 1. The loaf is a vulnerability statement. Let's start with what the loaf actually is, physically, because the moment you understand the mechanics, the meaning becomes obvious. When your cat loafs, they tuck all four paws completely underneath their body. That means no paws on the ground, no ability to push off and run, no fast exit available. For an animal that is both predator and prey, an animal whose survival instincts are still very much intact no matter how comfortable your house is, removing your own ability to flee quickly is not a small thing. It is a choice, a deliberate, conscious surrender of the readiness to escape. Your cat is sitting in a position that says, right now, in this moment, I do not believe anything bad is going to happen. That is not nothing. That is your cat making a trust statement about the space they're in, about the temperature of the room, about the energy of the people in it, about you. The next time you see your cat loafing, before you go for the camera, just take a second to register what it means. Your cat looked around at their world and decided it was safe enough to let their guard down completely. You're part of why they feel that way. 2. There are different loaves, and they mean different things. Not all loaves are equal, and most owners treat them like they are. The full loaf, paws completely tucked, tail wrapped, eyes soft or closed, chin sometimes resting on the surface in front of them, is the gold standard. This is maximum comfort, maximum relaxation, total ease. Your cat is not monitoring anything, they are simply existing and they are happy doing it. Then there's the partial loaf, one paw out, or both front paws extended slightly forward. This one is subtly different. Your cat is comfortable, yes, but 1 degree less so. They are relaxed but not entirely offline. Think of it as the difference between lying on the sofa at home versus sitting in a waiting room. Comfortable enough, but present. Then there's the tight loaf. This is the one most owners miss entirely. Everything tucked in, but the body is hunched rather than settled. The position looks similar from a distance, but the posture tells a different story. If your cat is sitting in a tight, almost compressed loaf with their back slightly raised, ears not fully relaxed, and their eyes open and watchful, that is not the comfort loaf. That is a cat who is trying to conserve body heat, or who is not feeling entirely well, or who is somewhere that doesn't quite feel safe. Learning the difference between a settled loaf and a tense loaf is one of the most useful things you can do as a cat owner, because your cat cannot tell you in words when something is off. But their body is always, constantly telling you, if you know how to look. 3. Temperature is doing more work than you think. Here is a piece of the puzzle that surprises most people. Cats run at a higher baseline body temperature than humans, around 38 to 39 degrees Celsius, and they are exquisitely sensitive to heat loss. When a cat is cold, or even when the ambient temperature has dropped slightly below their preferred range, one of the first things they do is tuck. All four paws under, tail wrapped, surface area minimized, heat retained. The loaf is, in part, a biological thermostat. And this is why cats loaf more in winter, more in the morning before the house warms up, and more on cool surfaces than warm ones. But here's the interesting part. They don't only loaf when they're cold, they loaf when they're comfortable in a warm space too. So temperature is a trigger, but it's not the whole story. It just sets the conditions. The emotional component is separate. Watch where your cat chooses to loaf. On your laptop, which radiates heat, in the patch of sun on the floor, on the radiator shelf, on your lap, which is warmer than anywhere else in the room. Your cat is a heat-seeking creature of enormous precision, and the spots they choose tell you what they value. And very often, the warmest spot in the room is wherever you are. 4. The loaf in front of you is different from the loaf across the room. This is the distinction most videos skip entirely, and it's one of the most meaningful things to understand. A cat can loaf anywhere, under the bed, behind the sofa, in a corner of a room you barely use. When they choose to loaf in your direct line of sight, on the coffee table in front of you at the end of the bed, on the arm of the chair next to yours, that is a social loaf. They are not just resting, they are resting at you. Cats who feel bonded to their owners frequently choose to be in visual contact with them even when they want to rest. They don't need to be on your lap. They don't need to be touching you. But they want you in their frame. They want to know where you are, and they want you to know where they are. There's a mutual awareness that both parties are aware of, even when nothing is being said or done. Behaviorists sometimes call this passive togetherness, the feline version of companionable silence. It's not indifference. It is, in its own quiet way, one of the most intimate things your cat does. The cat who loafs across the room from you is not ignoring you. They are choosing to rest in your presence. And that is exactly what they mean to do. 5. What the eyes tell you. You can read almost everything about a loafing cat from their eyes alone. This is one of the most reliable windows into how they're actually feeling in that moment. Fully closed eyes in a loafing cat is the deepest signal of all. As we touched on in other videos, for a cat, closing both eyes fully is a vulnerability that they do not offer carelessly. A fully eye-closed loaf is your cat in their most trusting state. Offline, not monitoring. Completely given over to the feeling of safety. Half-lidded eyes, the classic sleepy cat look, means relaxed but gently aware. Your cat is enjoying the moment and also just barely keeping tabs. This is where most contentedly loafing cats sit for long stretches. Comfortable enough to rest but not deeply enough asleep to fully switch off. And then there are the open, forward-facing eyes in a loaf. If your cat is loafing but their eyes are wide open, tracking movement or fixed on something you can't see, they are not in a comfortable loaf at all. They're in a surveillance posture. Something in the environment is keeping them from fully settling. Might be a sound, a smell, tension in the room, another animal nearby. Their body is in loaf shape, but their mind is working. The shape of the position tells you comfort. The state of the eyes tells you the truth. 6. If your cat has never loafed near you. This one is worth addressing honestly. Some owners' cat do loaf, but always alone. Always in another room. Always somewhere out of sight. First, know that this is not necessarily about your bond. Some cats, particularly those who were not well socialized as kittens, or who have had previous homes with unpredictable energy, or who are simply more naturally solitary in temperament, these cats tend to take their most vulnerable moments somewhere private. They loaf in safety, and for them, safety still means alone. This is not rejection, it is history, and it can change. The way to shift it is slow and undramatic. Start spending more time in the same room as your cat without directing any attention at them. Read a book. Work quietly. Let them learn that your presence doesn't come with demands attached. Over weeks and months, some cats begin to migrate. They loaf a little closer, then closer still. Then one day, in the place you're sitting, because you have become the safety they were always looking for. You can't rush it, but you can make yourself worth moving toward. 7. The loaf as a whole is a gift your cat is giving you. When you zoom out and look at everything the loaf contains, the lowered defenses, the chosen warmth, the social proximity, the trust communicated through the eyes, it starts to look less like a cute pose and more like what it actually is. Every loaf is a quiet declaration. This place is safe. This person is safe. Right now, nothing needs to be defended or monitored or survived. Right now, everything is fine, and you are the reason they believe that. If this changed the way you see your cat sitting there doing absolutely nothing, hit like and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, where does your cat loaf and who do they do it in front of? I read all comments.